this is Dorothy with That's Scrapbooking, and this is the project we're going to be making today. This is a long video, it's almost an hour, but we're making 16 cards. Now, you're not going to watch it in full tedium. I'm going to do a lot of speeding up, but you're going to see how I got through all of these cards for a Thanksgiving, a season of thanks, or thank you cards, however you want to use them. Hope you subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and ring the bell and give me a thumbs up. Thanks. Bye-bye. Hi, this is Dorothy with That's Scrapbooking, and I am going to work on my Crisp Air Cardmaking Workshop. So let me just show you what the contents are for this workshop. So you get a stamp set and thin cuts to go with it. So it's really a cute little wreath here with some added leaves and flower, thinking of you, thanks for your friendship, season of thanks. So these are great cards to send for upcoming Thanksgiving. And I like that. You know, wreaths are always really, they're nice on your front door, and they're nice on cards. And there's kind of, you know, the traditional wreath, but then there's this little kind of untraditional wreath. Okay, you can call it a wreath, or you could call it just a place to hold a nice little phrase or sentiment. So this is called the Crisp Air Cardmaking Workshop stamp set and thin cuts. And then, of course, you get cards. So you're going to get 16. This kit makes 16 cards for each of 4 designs. So let me just kind of straighten these out and set them aside, because I will be decorating. You know, I always decorate my envelopes. So I'll put those here. And then, of course, we've got our cards ready to fold. And it comes with some gold glitter gems. Always a good thing to have on hand. And here are the cards. So very pretty. You know, very, you know, nice fall colors. So here's that little untraditional type of wreath. Just kind of corralling your little sentiment there. And very, very nice. Anyway, I'm looking forward to doing this. The other materials that you need along with the kit are your intense black stamp pad, the alpine, burnt orange, and gold brown tri-blend markers, and platinum stickles, glitter glue, and 3D foam tape. You're going to use a 1x1, a 2x2, and a 3x3 acrylic block for this, along with your paper trimmer, scissors, adhesive, and ruler. And the turquoise color shows the thin cuts, and these are the stamps that come with the whole stamp set. So we've got a lot of cutting to do. I'm going to do that off camera, but there's quite a bit. There's quite a bit of cutting, and there's here are all this shows you how many and what color to stamp and do thin cuts of your wreaths and both traditional and untraditional wreaths. So let's see, what else have we got? And then we've got some of the extra leaves and a little floral. So this page shows you that those are going to be done in white daisy. So I've got cutting to do, and here's a preview of these pretty cards. So this is card 1. This is project 1. And then we've got project 2. Here's the extra florals and the floral in the leaves to go on this frame. And here's the other frame with the floral and the leaves. And let's see what the last one looks like. And this has got the beautiful wreath. So pretty. Okay, so I am going to get busy cutting, and then I will come back and show you how they go together. So stay with me. Okay, I'm back, and I've gone ahead and made all the straight cuts and all of the thin cut pieces. And as I cut them, I put all of the pieces in bags labeled 1 through 4. So you've got projects 1 through 4, and enough to make the 4 cards for in each of the bags. So you fold towards the convex line. So you're folding towards the part that sticks out on these cards that come with. Now these cards are the same that you get in our value pack of 50 cards in envelopes, and it's a very good deal. It's like $15.95 or so for a pack of 50 cards. So they last for a very long time, and it's definitely a good deal. Now I'll tell you right here, I pulled out 3 pieces, but you only use 2 pieces of the 1 inch. So just go ahead and I kind of thought that you used a 3rd piece and you put the zip strip on top of it, but you don't. You're just using 2 pieces of the 1 inch, and then the zip strip goes in the middle. And I'm also using my T-square. And measuring, you actually go over 3/4 of an inch from the edge of the left edge of the card. So the left edge of the fold, you're going 3/4 of an inch, and then a 1/2 inch up from the bottom. And so I'm thinking that I didn't do something right here. I don't know why I thought that, but I get kind of always making the first card, you're just kind of unsure exactly of what it's supposed to look like. And so I'm making just 1 card of each of the projects, and then I'll come back and do a very speeded up version of making the rest of them, because I really want to get all of these cards made. I mean, I have been known to just make the one and keep all the rest of the pieces in the bags for a long time, and it's like, no, I just want to make sure that I get everything cut and done. So you're just going to put one of the lines in between each of the pieces. So those, I think those are about 1/8 of an inch. And, you know, it's kind of nice to measure just so you make sure you're getting everything all straight on these cards when it, you know, it's so obvious. If you get all those straight lines and one of them's off slightly, then it's really going to look wonky. Okay, so you want to figure out where to do your placement here, and before you start digging in to do your stamping. So you want to make sure that you've got it lined up, because it's not just it's not symmetrical all the way around, so you can't just put it wherever you want. There's actually very specific areas where you need to put it. So I'm going to go ahead and do the sentiment on the inside. And, you know, I have taken liberty to use the sentiments that I wanted to. I went a little different from, like, they're putting "thanks for your friendship" on the inside of this. But I went ahead and made it a season of thanks, so I can send it as a, you know, in November. It's a whole thing. It doesn't have to be Happy Thanksgiving. It's just, anyway, it's your choice what sentiments you use on your cards. They have suggestions.
So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I colored these. And I kind of followed their coloring tip. So I'm using the colors that they suggested, the alpine green, and I think it's burnt orange. And they're using mostly the dark and the light of those shades. So, but once again, you know, you can add some of your own colors if you want. The last card has the green in it, and it came out kind of pretty. They didn't even color those leaves; they just put the green stems in there, and they look quite striking, actually. So you can color these the way you want. So you can go and color using the same leaf and color them the same color, you know, just however, you know, whatever you see fit for yourself. So this is kind of interesting because you're coloring on, I always want to call it sea biscuit, shortbread. I should never forget that because I love shortbread. Good grief. And I'm adding some of the darker color to the inside of where the veins are. So it just adds a little. It always adds more dimension when you're adding color on the inside of where you've already. I'm continuing on. I'm just adding a little dark to the center of the light burnt orange leaves. And then I'm coloring these bigger leaves that are left with the dark burnt orange. Now this is the darker gold brown, and I'm adding a little bit of that to the veins of the leaves done in the burnt orange. I'm going to pop it up with my pieces of foam from the shaker windows. This is fairly thick foam. Taking the backing off here. And you have no problem with this thicker foam going through the mail because it just squishes down, so no problem. Now the gems aren't really too bad either because they're at a certain height. So I'm just getting an even line of them. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of stickles on some of the berries. Not all the berries, but just a few berries just to give a little accent and a little glimmer on the rest of the wreath. So I can kind of go overboard. It's all of a sudden you get into a habit of filling in the holes and you start putting it on all of them. But there we go. So just a little glitz on the berries for the card. And I really like the way that card came out. So the next card is Project 2. And this uses these pieces. They sort of look like squares, but they're actually rectangles. And so they're about 1/8 of an inch bigger around. I will tell you exactly what the dimensions of those rectangles are in my instructions. They are 1 inch by 7/8 of an inch. So they're 1/8 of an inch off from being a square. So, and you're going to put 2 each of the colors on there. So you're going to get 2 shortbreads, 2 pines, 2 of the paprikas, and 2 of the leaves. So it makes for a nice design. And then the rectangles are going to start at 1/8 of an inch down and 1/8 of an inch over. So each one of those grid lines on my T-square, my new T-square, are 1/8 of an inch. So that you just line up the 1/8 of an inch along the right-hand edge of the card, and you're off and running. So you don't have to do much thinking. You don't have to do any serious measuring. You're just running an 1/8 of an inch line and then lining up your stuff. Let's hear it for just being able to line up the stuff without having to think about, just exactly all the detailed measurements of everything. So that's why I love these rulers with the grid on them, and they're clear. I mean, gosh, it makes just measuring and laying out so much easier. So I love it. So here we go. That's the last of the rectangles. And then I'm going to use my tweezer holding this little frame because it's a little awkward to hold. It's real thin. And then putting the liquid glue around the edges. So I'm going to line it up so the 2 small holes are at the top. And then I'm just going to set my block on top of the frame so that it kind of sticks and doesn't come flying up. So there we go, just enough to keep it down for a few seconds so that it can, kind of absorb into the cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and use my one by one block and ink up my little flower and line it up. It's not a symmetrical thing, so you have to make sure you line it up correctly, but it's not hard. Excuse me. And then my leaves. So I'm just going to make sure I get a good impression there. And then I line it up and give it a little press. And there we go. So that stamping came out real good. Excuse me. Need some water. Okay, this one is going to get cut in all the light of the gold brown. So all of the leaves are going to get colored in the light gold brown, and then the berries will too. And so then I come along and use the dark gold brown and just add the veins to the leaves. So, and then I'm going to use the light burnt orange and go over the entire flower. And then I come back, and on the petals that are the center and around the edge of the second layer of petals, I'm putting the burnt orange. So that's enough to give just a little depth to the flower. And then I'm going to use some small foam dots to go on the flower to hold it in place on the leaves. And then the leaf is going to get a piece of the shaker window. So on the center of this, I'm going to use the sentiment "Thinking of You." I don't think that that's what they had. They suggest, yeah, it says, yeah, they did use that, "Just thinking of you." So I like that. Those are for people that I have. Okay, so we've got "Just thinking of you," and now I'm going to put the gold glitter gems down. So 2 are going to go down there, and then kind of going in the opposite way are the bigger and the smaller glitter gems, kind of opposite those other 2. So then here comes my little floral and leaf. And look at how that just sets that off. It looked kind of plain without it, but now it's like, oh, that just set it off so beautifully. So I'm adding some stickles to the center of the flower And I'm adding some to the berries also. So, isn't that nice? I know you've got people in your life where maybe they're sick and they haven't been able to come out much. So the other thing that they do on this card is they also add the stickles. Now, did I forget to do that? Is that going to come back? They put the stickles accenting a couple of the corners of that frame. I think I remember that later. So here comes card number 3. And this card has like five layers of cardstock. We'll see. We'll do a count. There's like 5 layers or so of cardstock. So really pretty, a lot of depth, a lot of interest. And usually the more layers that you have on a card, the more interesting the card is to look at. So, you know, a card with just a color background and a stamp on it is going to be pretty kind of boring. And, you know, adding more detail, yes, it takes more time, but you can send out a lot more interesting card. Okay, and this is going to go under. So far we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers. And then you haven't added the floral and the leaves yet. So, there you go. I mean, it does take a little time to do all the cutting and placement of the pieces. Now, it could take a whole lot longer time if you ended up distressing all the edges on these. I'm like going with, there's plenty of interest here. I'm not going to, if I was making one each of the cards, then I would probably do some distressing. But because this is sort of, in a way, kind of a factory where I'm making a whole bunch of cards, then I'm not going to do the distressing. I would take forever. Pardon me. Anyway, here's my card. Went ahead and folded it. This one is cut to the full 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm going to totally cover this card with this piece of shortbread, which I would love to eat with a cup of coffee right now. Gosh, I love shortbread. There's a girl in the neighborhood that makes these cookies that they've got to be like shortbread cookies, but they've got kind of she puts an almond flavoring in them and ices them. Always real cute for the season, but holy moly. Sylvia and I think that they've got cocaine in them or crack or something to make them so addictive. They're just absolutely fabulous cookies. And I hate to say, but it's in my neighborhood. And Sylvia and I went out and had lunch the other day. And Sylvia wanted some cookies. So she said, I don't care how many doors I have to knock on. We're going to find that house. So I knew the street, and I knew generally that she lived kind of catty corner across from another friend of mine. And sure enough, my friend Sylvia got out and knocked on 3 houses, on the doors of 3 houses, until she found the lady. And she had cookies from a pop-up that she had the day before. So we were able to buy some cookies. Okay, so we went over 1/4 of an inch from the left-hand side and 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom and down from the top. And then we're going to go, I shouldn't tell on us, going about 5/8 of an inch over from the side here, from the side of the card, and from up from the bottom. Cookies were so good. I mean, they were so good. It was just crazy good. And so worth her knocking on the door for us. I'm having a hard time measuring here. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time. I think I went to sleep for a little while. Okay. Come on, Dorothy. You can do it. You can do it, girl. I know you can. Ta-da. I have to tell you, sometimes I look at what I'm doing and I'm thinking, who is that lady? My goodness, where are her brains? Okay, so I'm putting this piece. So this is a 1-inch piece by maybe 5, because it goes to the to 1/4 of an inch from each side. So that would be 5. And it is 1/4, let's see. It's about 1/2 an inch up from the bottom of the green of the pine. There we go. And then I'm going to put the white down. And it's 1/4 of an inch up from the... So the paprika was 1/2 inch up from the bottom of the pine. This is going to be 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom of the pine. And 1/4 of an inch over. So just like that. Isn't that pretty? See, it's really coming along. And this frame also gets laid down. So once again, I'm going to glue it up with the liquid Tombow. And I'm just putting dots. I'm putting tiny dots because otherwise you have splats that are coming out from underneath the frame. And so you don't want that. And I'm putting the... I don't know that it makes a difference which way. The instructions have the small piece going. Yeah. So the small holes go over to the left-hand side. See how this one needs a little help sticking down. So I'm going to go ahead and put a thanks in the middle, which is what they suggested, and it comes with this nice little curly Q. So how cute is that? That's just a little bit of flair, I think, is how they usually refer to those little things. It's just a little bit of flair. I'm just wiping off the edges so I don't leave schmutz here and there. Ah, didn't do a good job. Try to go over it. And it's doubled. So I'm going to fix it. And I'm going to fix it by doing another frame, taking the centerpiece and using the centerpiece and putting it over. So you really won't be able to tell. Except that if you notice, I didn't do it so that it's on the letters are on a slant. So I don't like the way that looks. I can't stand things that are crooked. Okay, so it's kind of hard because this is kind of an asymmetrical kind of shape. So I'm going ahead and putting it on the card and then coming and lining it up more with the card. That way I get a much better job of getting it straight. And I've got my flowers, my flower and my leaves again. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp it, stamp both. So there we go. Now they get colored with the light of the gold, brown. And then once again you come and you do kind of the outline of the second petals in. Well, it looks like I just filled it in. And then I'm going to use the lighter of the burnt orange on one of the leaves and some of the other smaller leaves. And the berries, and then come back and do the light gold brown on the other leaves. And then add the vines. Why do I always say vines? The veins. There we go. So here we go using our little foam dot. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you count the leaves and the flower, that adds 8 layers. And then the angles, couple of the angles are getting accented in the stickles. And a couple of the gems. Quite nice. Okay. Now we're going for the last card, the project 4. So there we have a toffee background, a pine, shortbread, 1/4-inch strips, there we go. And then the wreath. So this shows a 1/4-inch. Is it here or is it 1/8 of an inch? Looks like it might be 1/8 of an inch all around. And then the green, the pine comes in 5/8 of an inch from the edge. And then we've got another 1/8 of an inch or so coming in with the shortbread. And the strips start 2 inches from the bottom. And I just use a piece of scrap paper and just kind of run the Tombow from one edge to the other. So it's going to go, yeah, the little tail gets cut off there. So, and then once you've got the one, then you can go ahead and line the rest of them up. And they all go just covering the from edge to edge on the toffee. So this gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With the when the wreath goes on, that'll be 5 layers. So all of these are, you know, have a lot of depth to them because they've got a lot of layers of cardstock. And we're lining up the wreath on the white daisy. Trying to find how it lines up correctly. There we go. And we get our alpine green is going on this one. We hadn't used the alpine on the others, but this one gets the veins of the bigger leaves get done with the alpine green. And it really ends up being a very pretty combination with the other colors once the other colors get put on there. So I'm going to come in and do the light burnt orange. So here we go, coming along. And it's picking up, it just picks up all of the colors that are on the card. So, I think that's what makes it just goes so beautifully. Whoops. Okay, I'm sorry, continue on here. And do the veins. So what's coming up is me putting the rest of the cards together. So I'm going to put all 16 cards together, and I'm really going to speed it up. So you can just kind of see, once you get your groove going on one card, then the rest of them go much faster. So that's why when you do these, you want to do them all together so that you get them done quicker. It's what I term my factory production of card making, when you're making, more than one or two cards at a time. So, and this is a perfect season of thanks with all the wonderful colors to it. I love that wreath. I absolutely love it. I love it with the green. And they're just doing some little accents of the corners with the stickles. Which I really like. I really like that effect. And then we're going to go ahead and put our gold gems down, add some of the thick foam to this wreath, this wonderful, wonderful wreath. And then card 4 will be finished. Look at that. And that wreath is striking. I think it's beautiful. Okay, so let me just kind of put all these cards out so you can see all 4 of them. And look at how pretty they are. So here comes the grouping with all of them getting done. Okay. Okay, I hope you don't mind. Hope you enjoyed the music. So I'm going and finishing, I am finishing the last card, having trouble talking here, and I hope you don't mind that this video actually has gone on for quite a long time, but it's a lot of stuff to put down. So we've done 16 cards here, and you can get a real feel for how much faster things, I mean, granted, I've speeded the video up 400 times, but you kind of, those are my envelopes. So I use the distressed oxides in the fossilized amber and the fired brick, and then I did a combination. So I stamped it in the amber and then edged the leaves. So those were my decorated envelopes, and I think we're going to leave it there. So I hope you like my cards. This is the Crisp Air card making kit. You still may find some available, although our new catalog came online October 1st, yesterday. So, but I still think there's some available. So you have plenty of time to make some cards for Thanksgiving coming up. And they're lovely cards, and you would be proud to send these to any of your loved ones and friends. So here we go. This is the full, I'm giving you the full array of cards. It's not all fitting on my screen. So there's the distressed oxides and the envelopes and the stamp set. Thanks for watching. Bye now.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Smith. Thanks for watching my video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel and learn along with me. Thanks. Bye-bye.